Censorship is the act or mechanism of establishing a procedure, a restriction, or a control over the expressions of public. The main objective of censorship is to have a control over what is being portrayed to the public as morals and values, because if what is being portrayed are inconsistent to the morals and values, they can lead to violence. The Censor Board of Film Certification executes this very objective of censorship. The Central Board of Film Certification, which is CBFC, is a statutory body which is the authority responsible for the certification of films in India according to the Cinematography Act of 1952. This act enshrines certain guidelines that tame the public's expression of ideas and imaginations via films by the filmmakers. Section 5B2 of the Act grants certain guidelines which are to be followed by the CBFC for granting a film certification. The guidelines are as follows. 1. The medium of the film conforms to the values of the society. Number 2. The freedom of any artist is not curbed unreasonably. 3. The certification must be responsive to social change. 4. It should be a healthy and a clean entertainment for the audience. 5. The film must be cinematically of a decent standard and of aesthetic value. And lastly, the CBFC must judge the film in its entirety and not from a one-side biased perspective. Let's see the issue faced by the Adipurush movie regarding censorship. In this current case, 2 public interest litigations were filed in the High Court. The relief sought was to direct the opposite parties to remove certain objectionable dialogues and scenes from the movie Adipurush, which depicted the gods and other characters in certain vulgar and disrespectful manner. The division bench directed the IB Ministry to revisit the issue and form an expert committee. It also asked for the affidavit of the Secretary of the IB Ministry. The court further directed the chairman of CBFC to submit his personal affidavit containing the details of whether he followed all the guidelines to be followed for granting certification for a film. The court also asked the director of the film and the dialogue writer to appear in person with their personal affidavits explaining their bona fide. Court held that the gods in the films have been shown by the filmmakers and the dialogue writers without considering the holiness of these characters. Not only the dialogues are so substandard, the use of foul language are prima facie obscene, which are unwarranted and uncalled for. The bench held that the filmmakers, by making such films, are not paying attention to the emotions of the public at large. It also held that the Censor Board did not follow the guidelines given under Section 5B of the Cinematography Act to issue a certificate for a film. The IB Ministry has not taken any actions immediately after the release of the films, even after having provisions to revoke or suspend the certificate given to the film. As per the court, if such acts by the filmmakers are not kept in check, there are possibilities for more films to be produced in the same way, affecting the emotions of other people. The court held that under Section 5E of the Cinematography Act, the central government has the power to suspend or revoke the certificate given to any film if it is in contradiction with any provisions of the Act or any rules. According to Rule 33 of the Cinematograph Certification Rules, if any part of a film is altered after the certification, then such part shall not be exhibited unless it has been approved by the board. The court, before granting an interim order against the opposite parties, granted the IB Ministry one opportunity to revisit on the grievances of the public. The bench further held that if the Censor Board had not followed the guidelines which were specifically given to it, it shall take appropriate action and pass orders according to Section 5E of the Censorship Act. Petition to ban the film are still pending in the High Courts of Punjab and Haryana, Allahabad and Rajasthan, and to quash the certificate issued by CBFC. The Supreme Court Division Bench has granted an interim relief to the filmmakers against all the High Court proceedings. The court further issued a notice for the transfer petition filed by the producer of the film to transfer all the cases from the High Court to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court also dismissed a writ petition filed against the grant of the certificate to the film because under Article 32 of the Indian Constitution, the court cannot question a decision made by the statutory body. To conclude, it is abundantly clear that CBFC is the authority which grants certification to the films and also controls what is being portrayed to the public. For amazing legal content, look no further. We got you covered. Stay lobby-fied.